please put it on silent or vibrate. We would appreciate you doing that. We always start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we would request that you remain standing for a brief moment of silence. And Commissioner Spielvogel, could you lead us in the pledge?
I will. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you please remain standing, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you. Chris, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Burek?
Present.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here, we have a quorum. We always have time for public comment, both at the beginning of the meeting and prior to the adjournment. We ask your comments be related to county government matters. And if you could try to limit your time to around 5 minutes, we'd appreciate that. If you need more time, we'll certainly chat with you. But before we get to public comment, we do set aside time for row officer reports and comments, but today none of our row officers are joining us, which is all right, because they're probably all hard at work in their respective offices. So that takes us to public comment. Are there any members of the public, and that includes Debbie as well, anything so far anybody would wish to bring up? Hearing none, we'll repeat this before we adjourn. Under fiscal and contractual, we do have a repository property upon which a bid has been made. And this property is located in Hickory Township, specifically on East Maitland Lane. It's parcel number 22-037600. The bid of $500 was made by Philip Douglas. The bid has been approved by both the Hickory Township Supervisors and the Laurel Area School Board, and that brings it then to us for consideration. In order for a bid to be approved, the three taxing bodies must agree. Chris, do you know what number this would be?
Yes, it's 353.
353. Thank you. So this is proposed resolution 353. A motion would be in order.
So moved.
Thank you both. And Loretta, questions on this proposal? No. Mr. Burek?
No.
Okay. We'll take a roll call then.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Burek?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Debbie, I'll have all this information for you when we finish up today. We have warrant registers from the Controller's Office dated September 20 and 21. Give my colleagues some time to look them over, and whenever you're ready, I could take a motion and a second to accept these documents.
So moved. Second.
Thank you both. Do either of you have any questions or concerns about the warrant registers?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll call the roll, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Burek?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Chris. The minutes of last Tuesday's meeting, September 19, are in our packet. Give you the time you might need to look them over, and whenever one of you is ready, I could take a motion to adopt the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Concerns about the minutes? Mr. Burek?
One minor correction, Mr. Richard Cheney, former county controller who passed away, the correct spelling of his name is C-I-N-I.
Thank you for catching that. Anything else?
No.
Loretta, any concerns?
No.
Okay, we have the motion and the second, and we'll make the appropriate correction. But we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Burek?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Over the course of the last week, we received 2 pieces of written correspondence which need to be entered into the record. The first is from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, Engineering District 11 in Bridgeville. This is pertaining to State Route 2013, Mount Herman Church Road in Slippery Rock Township. This is an Act 14 notification to the county. PennDOT is planning a culvert replacement project on this road to replace a culvert that carries a big run. The project consists of replacing the existing culvert with the same sized HDPE pipe and the installation of a beaver cone to prevent beavers from damming the culvert. And the purpose of this notice is to inform you of PennDOT's intent to apply to DEP for work along State Route 2013. That's our first document. The second one is from NIRA, N-I-R-A, Consulting Engineers of Coraopolis, Pennsylvania. And this document pertains to the SNPJ Recreation Center sewage treatment plant in the borough of SNPJ. This is an Act 14 notification, water quality management permit update. The application is for the use of chlorine tablets in lieu of liquid chlorine for the disinfection system at the sewage treatment plant. And with both of these documents, as we note many times, the county has no jurisdictional authority over these matters. However, the law requires that we be notified of matters such as this. So these are the two that come before us, the one in Slippery Rock Township, the other one in the borough of SNPJ. May I have a motion to accept both of these documents?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Loretta, any comments about either of them?
No.
Thank you. Brian, anything?
No comments, but I had to chuckle about the beaver cone. I remember a few years back when the issue with the beavers building the dams at the lake along established bike trails. So I'm glad they're addressing the beaver issue proactively.
I think we still periodically, did we not have a problem with them? I was going to suggest maybe mention to Amy that
I actually
look at something like that.
I spoke with her and she understands. She said, I thought they were called beaver bafflers. So this is called a beaver cone. I don't know if a beaver cone and a beaver baffler are one and the same, but she's aware of it.
You learn so many interesting things in the course of a meeting, do you not? Such is the work that we do.
That's right. Thank you both. We have a motion to accept the two written pieces of correspondence. We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Chris. Next is reports. We have commissioner reports and comments, and my colleague, Mr. Burek, gets to go first today. Brian?
Thank you, Commissioner Vogler. Just a real short report this week. Since last Tuesday's meeting, the three commissioners attended the open house of the Veterans Fairweather Lodge.
Yes.
That is in the former the historic home downtown on North Mercer Street. It was formerly the office of the local American Red Cross chapter. It's been converted into veterans housing by the Human Services Center, and the building looks great inside and out.
Yes.
And I commend them on the project, and I'm glad our Veterans Office will be helping to refer people to utilize that facility. So that's a positive for downtown and for the veterans in the community. We also had our monthly prison board meeting last week. And then we also had a meeting with Disabilities Option Network where they just updated us on various projects they're working on in the county. And then finally, last Friday, I completed the legislative tours of the 911 Center. State Senator Michelle Brooks came to the Department of Public Safety. I want to thank Mr. Strobel, Mr. Hoover's here today for the excellent tour of the 911 Center. And our state senator thanked us for the information that we provided her in the tour. And she's going to go back to the Senate Veterans Affairs and Emergency Preparedness Committee, and they will be voting between now and the end of the year on the 911 funding reauthorization bill. That's my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Spielvogel.
Thank you. And I do have to say, Brian, thank you for taking that mantle and doing it and arranging meetings. And I know you're here and Chad is not here, but Rich, thank you, everything that you guys do. We are definitely at the state level fighting for the funding that you certainly need to have. We need to have to be able to to address the needs of our county. But Brian, thank you for spearheading that and for the visits and being there. It's very, very worthwhile.
I just know you would have both been there as well, but you
Yes.
were both out of town last Friday, so I was glad to take the lead on it.
Yes. I just, one thing based on a couple of different things, you know, in Lawrence County, we have a huge burden with our opioid situation, with our overdoses and deaths with fentanyl. And now xylazine has reared its ugly head here in Lawrence County as well. We have a report that has come out from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the Pennsylvania Department of Health. You know, it's very damaging, very damning for Lawrence County because we do have one of the highest rates, you know, in the, not just in the state, but in the nation. I know that everyone involved with the dangerous opioid situation that we have, from the DA's office for the prosecutions and investigations to Lawrence County Drug and Alcohol for doing what they do, to the various support agencies, Recovery Coalition, Vision Ministries. It is definitely actually I have to thank the Dr. Burek with the Medical Society of Lawrence County, so I apologize for that lapse, that everyone is working together to improve the quality of life in Lawrence County for those that are affected, the families that are left behind, and also we want to do much more on the prevention effort to keep people from becoming addicted, from getting involved. Fentanyl is awful. Xylazine is horrendous. The addiction process is heartbreaking to watch families go through it. But I want people to know that there are many different groups and agencies and people that are vested in making Lawrence County better and safer and as drug-free as we could possibly be. Like I said, the numbers are not good for Lawrence County, but trust that I know for myself, I know as our commissioners, as the different municipalities, the agencies involved, the volunteer groups, everyone is doing everything that they possibly can to try to combat this. And we will continue to do so. We will continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Loretta. I'll echo your remarks to Commissioner Burek. We do very much appreciate all that you've done on this matter involving 911 funding and hosting, particularly hosting Senator Brooks this past Friday. So thank you for all the time and effort that you put into that. We hope it pays dividends. I will note, looking ahead a little bit, that tomorrow night my colleagues and I will be attending the fall meeting of the Beaver Lawrence County Farm Bureau in New Galilee, Beaver County. So we're looking forward to seeing our friends from the agriculture community. And then on Thursday night, we'll be out in Chenango Township. The Community Y is sponsoring their annual, I believe they still call it Salute to Courage.
Yes.
It's the Jack and Nancy Flannery Award, and well-deserved. Pastor David Young is the recipient this year, and I'm sure many of you know him, what a good man he is. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say he has an equally good wife. She's a wonderful lady. And a number of years ago, we appointed him to serve on the County Housing Authority. And he takes that role very, very seriously. And we appreciate his service to the community. And then finally, next Monday, I'm assuming you're both going. We have our quarterly meeting of the Northwest County Commissioners Association group that we're a part of. And on Monday, we'll be traveling to Armstrong County for the quarterly meeting. We hosted it a few years ago. They rotate alphabetically. So, but this time Armstrong County is hosting it. We'll be gathering with other county commissioners from the Northwest region. Those are always good because we get to spend time with our colleagues from around this part of the Commonwealth and learn about what's going on in those areas. And what we generally find is a lot of the challenges that we're facing, they're also facing. Sometimes their challenges are even greater than ours sometimes. So looking forward to that. That's all I have. And thank you both. Let's move on to new business. We have a couple of resolutions to consider. Rich Hoover is with us from Public Safety. For purposes of getting it on the record, Mr. Hoover, would you mind having a seat up front, please? And we are going to be considering, Chris, you'll have to help me. I know I've got here. Resolution number 354?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is resolution 354. This is, we're looking at a proposal to enter into an agreement with Quality Enhanced Management Systems, Inc. But Mr. Hoover, we'll let you explain to us what that's all about.
QAMS is our quality assurance and quality improvement processing program that we use at the 911 center. It does a lot more. It's employee management, vehicle management. We process all our meetings, policy meetings. Pretty much it's a catch-all for the 911 center and the Department of Public Safety. It's a jack of all trades, I would say. We have used QAMS since 2007. 2 years ago, it went to a state-funded project as a regional project. That funding ceased for 23, so we're looking to reinstate our contract.
So it's a renewal. It's a one-year contract. If I'm reading this correctly, it'll take effect January 1 of 2024, run through that calendar year. And the resolution notes that the dollar amount is not to exceed $25,000. I'm guessing that both you and Mr. Strobel are requesting and recommending that we approve this?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Loretta, do you have questions for Rich?
No questions.
Thank you.
And that price is actually a negotiated price with them. It was 51.
Well, thank you.
And they'll start us retroactive immediately. So finish them.
Next time I buy a car, I'm bringing you with me.
There you go.
Thank you. Mr. Burek, questions?
No questions, just thank Mr. Hoover, Mr. Strobel for their work, and this software does help them do their job, so I support the resolution.
Thank you, sir. May I digress for just a second? And I don't mean to put you on the spot because you may not know. I'm just curious, we had a closing of Interstate 376 part of yesterday up in Pulaski Township. Do you know how long the road was closed?
I do not.
Okay.
I know they did say it was going to be a couple hours. We had to have a hazmat cleanup crew come up.
I see.
The scene. There was quite a bit of oil and transmission fluid.
Hopefully the driver was not hurt.
Uninjured.
Good, that's good. I know the Newcastle News covered it, but I was just curious.
Yeah, it was a few hours.
Right.
I'm not sure exactly how long. It was open by earlier.
Oh, okay, good. Got to give PennDOT's Bridgeville office credit. They sent out an email to us pretty early on advising us that the road is, the westbound lanes were
Yes.
closed. So, but I'm especially glad to hear that nobody was hurt.
Yes.
Thank you. Before we vote, though, I do need a motion, don't I, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion on the, thank you, Loretta.
Sure.
Second.
Brian, thank you. But before we vote, any other questions or concerns for Rich? No. Okay, thank you. We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spillvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Mr. Hoover, thank you, sir.
Thank
If you can excuse me, I have
Of
an
course.
11 o'clock train.
Understood. You're not the only one that has an
Have a
11
nice
o'clock.
day.
Thank you, Rich. Take care.
You too.
Next on the agenda, proposed resolution 355. This comes from the general. Gentlemen, one or both of you would care to come up? It's like Warden Mullmeister drew the short straw.
He usually does.
Warden, it's always a pleasure to have
So
you.
wonder he has any straws left.
This matter is proposed resolution 355. This involves the amount that we are charging for direct file interest of justice direct file juveniles who are charged as adults. This was discussed at length at last Wednesday's prison board meeting, and I'm going to defer to Commissioner Spielvogel in just a second. But the recommendation, I believe, coming from the prison board to the commissioners is that we lower the rate from $800 per day to $600 per day. Warden, before I recognize you, I think in fairness, Commissioner Spielvogel chairs the prison board. I'll start with her.
Just very briefly, and of course the warden is the key person on this. We've had great discussion on housing the interest of justice juveniles. The warden has done great work with obtaining contracts from different counties. This goes back to the huge issue that we have across the state, across the nation, that there are not enough places to house, whether it be a direct file juvenile charged as an adult or a juvenile needing a secure detention facility due to the charges filed against them as a juvenile. The state decided several years ago that they no longer wanted to be in the detention facility business and created a problem with counties being able to house those juveniles. And they've made it very clear that they no longer wish to be and are not going to be in the future involved in any type of detention. So therefore it is up to the counties to do what they need to do. I commend our warden and his staff for being so proactive in doing all of the things that they do at the jail, especially with the interest of justice juveniles. Certainly this helps, and as the warden will say, changing our rate will increase our availability to house those juveniles as well as open up beds in secure detention facilities. So.
You just had a lot of conversation with the counties. I mean, we currently have one with Westmoreland, Washington, Fayette, and Armstrong, currently housing 2 interest of justice direct file inmates from Westmoreland County. Like I said, we've had a lot of discussion with surrounding counties that would be interested in housing their juveniles at the Lawrence County Jail. Reduce that premium from $800 to $600.
And the thing to point out too, and this is something every day, as we have meetings and we continue to have meetings through CCAP, through our region, I know on Monday it will also somehow or another be a topic of conversation because every county is facing this. When a juvenile is housed as a juvenile in a juvenile facility, there's a reimbursement back from the state at 80%. When a juvenile is charged as an adult, there is no reimbursement of any cost at all. And that is something that is an issue. I received information yesterday from our liaison with CCAP, Melanie Gordon. She said that there are 5 or 6 bills in different House committees that are trying to get introduced. I haven't had a chance to read through those yet, but maybe attempting to address or allocate monies somehow or other, because it's a huge burden. You figure even at $600 a day, one inmate, that's a direct cost to a county that it's not budgeted. And so it's hard hit. Realizing that and knowing that the monies that we're reducing the price to $600 are, they're in line with other private corporations, entities that are housing the secure detention juveniles. So we are hopeful that this will help alleviate, whether it just be a small amount, we can at least get some of the more violent offenders charged as juveniles off the streets if those beds do open up in the secure detention facilities. So again, thank you for everything that you do and your staff for allowing us to be able to do that. And let's face it, it certainly enhances our general fund with those monies coming in, as well as the monies from the other adult inmates that we take from other counties. Thank you.
Mr. Burek, do you have questions for Warden Hallmeister?
No, we discussed this extensively at last week's prison board meeting. It was unanimous. The prison board recommends this action, so I'll support the resolution.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to make an assumption that you and your staff would encourage us to pass this resolution.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you. Or if there are no other questions, I could entertain then a motion for approval of proposed resolution 355.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Any further conversation? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Gentlemen, thank you both.
Thank
You're
you.
very welcome to stay, but we also know you're busy and you may need to head across the street, so,
We'll stay for a little bit.
okay, that's fine. Thank you. We have a number of transfers to consider, and as we've noted in the past, as we approach the end of the year, the transfers start to increase a little bit. That's not uncommon. So we'll start with proposed resolution 356. And what we're looking at here is a request from the planning office, if I'm not mistaken.
correct.
Thank you. The planning office is asking for a transfer of $18,650.16 from the commissioner's contingency into that of planning grants and programs. They have contracted with a firm in Harrisburg known as Delta
Yes.
Development, which is assisting them with some of the grant applications that we work on, and that's the purpose of this request. May I have a motion for us to consider this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Mr. Burek, any concerns?
No.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Spielvogel?
No.
Okay, thank you. We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Chris. Proposed resolution 357. This is another transfer request as well. This comes from the commissioner's contingency. Pardon me. It's a $30,000 transfer request to the courts for court-appointed attorneys. This is to pay for court-appointed attorneys for their invoices. It's not stated here, but I will note that part of the expenditure here was for a recent court-appointed attorney in a homicide trial that just recently concluded. That request here is, again, a $30,000 transfer. Are one of you willing to make a motion for this?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Do either of you have any questions or concerns? Okay, thank you. We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Chris. The next five we'll walk through. I'll enter them into the record. If you need to stop me, please do so. If you have a concern on any of these, please stop me and we can discuss them. The Register and Recorder's Office is requesting that we approve a $4,200 transfer from their contingency into the land and building rental line item. This states here that the monthly fee charged by the storage of records and retrieval is dictated by the number of requests for documents and books that are made. In 2023, there has been an exceptionally large amount of requests made, making the monthly fee increase substantially. So that's why they're asking for this $4,200 transfer. This is from Mrs. Crawford in that office. The Domestic Relations Office is asking for a transfer of $1,555 from their contingency into the office minor line item, the purpose being to allow them to purchase and install 2 security cameras in the Domestic Relations Office. The Human Resources Office, they were out of order in my packet, so I had to switch, but I hope you're caught up on this. Human Resources is asking for a $1,300 transfer from their contingency into the line item of background and drug testing for potential new employees. The Mental Health and Developmental Services Office is requesting a $5,000 transfer from the staff overtime line item, their staff overtime line item into that of their travel and training line item. And then the final transfer request is from the Commissioner's office. This is asking for a $2,725 transfer from the contingency into that of maintenance and repairs. That involves flooring in the Commissioner's office. Those are the requests that have been made to us. If you wish, I could take a motion to approve all 5.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you both. Mr. Burek, do you have any questions or concerns?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Spielvogel? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the transfer requests that have been made of us. I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Buick?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That takes care of proposed resolutions. And we'll move along to announcements. We'll note that next Tuesday, the commissioners will meet in public in this room at 10 a.m., October 3. And then that same day, October 3, Tuesday, at noon, the Lawrence County Opioid Advisory Board, which Commissioner Spielvogel chairs, will hold their monthly public meeting in this room. I believe that's it for announcements.
We may turn that into a working session for the opioid advisory, because we did receive a second round of applications, and we need to review them. There's not much of any new business to address, so that's a possibility that meeting will be canceled.
Okay. Thank you for noting that.
Sure.
I'll open the floor for public comments. We have 3 folks in the room. Do any of you have any comments or questions?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead,
The
Debbie.
warden can answer this. How much does it cost to house one juvenile in the jail per day?
I would say approximately $60.
$60. And about an adult.
Approximately the same.
Does that include medical and everything?
Medical, psych, meals.
Anything else, Debbie?
No.
Warden, I appreciate your staying. Worked out well.
Thanks.
Gentlemen, any other public comments?
No, Commissioner.
Closing comments from my fellow commissioners. Mr. Burek.
I was just gonna ask Commissioner Spielvogel, but I think she alluded to it. At the last month's opioid advisory board meeting, you talked about setting up a separate time to review the latest round of applications. If you haven't done that, you may do that next week.
I believe that's what we're doing.
Yeah, the only reason I asked, a few of the applicants, some of the programming they wanted to do during the school year, they're anxious to hear about if they're gonna be getting you. And I understand
Right.
the situation, but I would hope that that board could meet and review those applications as soon as possible. So thank you.
Anything else?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Loretta, final closing comments?
All good. Thank you.
Chris or Joe, anything that maybe we have forgotten or overlooked? Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. I could entertain a motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank
The
you.
camera, the tape, I would say tape. The computer is still functioning, so Joe.